Dexter fans, and welcome to my second to last official vlog review of the show that has wrecked and besieged and illuminated my existence for the past few wild years. They have truly been some of the absolute best of my life, and truly I couldn't have asked for much more than to go through this with all of you guys. You know, this is pretty much, my channel is standing on the shoulders of this show. This is where, you know, I cut my teeth in, you know, TV and movie reviewing land. This is where it all began, all because of one crazy little show that I could not shut up about. And I didn't have enough people in my physical life around me to, you know, talk with about it. So I decided to unleash that side of myself upon all of you, and it's been amazing to have made the friendships that I have and the connections and all the crazy conversations that have ensued. So I know that this is a review about the episode, but I just wanted to take the time to just thank all of you for being a part of this experience with me. And hell no, I'm not going anywhere. I am definitely going to keep up the Dexter vlogging. I hope perhaps midweek, this upcoming week, to do a finale predictions vlog, which is something that I did last year, so I'd like to keep that up this time around. And you know, if I can even friggin' think of anything that might possibly happen, because just the second half of this season has been so bizarre and up and down, and is just, my emotions have been ricocheting all about you know, my body and soul, and it's just a hot mess. So I'll do my best to organize my thoughts for that, and to maybe even do some more analysis about where we've been in the season as well, just because things have been so different, and it's been weird to track with, and you know, the quality and the writing and everything feels so different from the former times, and it's kind of hard to, you know, sink your teeth into what the crap has been going on through this whole process. So I'm going to do that, and I'll do some, you know, in memoriam vlogs. You know, I will do a lot of vlogs in retrospect, you know, some dedications to some of our favorite old characters. I'm going to be checking your guys' comments in this vlog as well as the last one. Let me know what kinds of Dexter videos you want me to do in the future as this all comes to a halt and a curtain call. So spoiler alert as we go forward, and I would like all of you to know that I have not looked at any Dexter spoilers whatsoever regarding the season finale, although I almost ran into a bunch of spoilers like a dozen times on Dexter Daily, which is a little bit distressing. And yeah, but I managed to keep my head above the water, so just so you guys know, I don't know anything about that business, and I don't want to. I want the entire experience to be fresh, and that's what I've strived for. So I've kind of, you know, hid myself below the surface of it all, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the end, because, you know, the writers and Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter have all said that it's really gratifying and satisfying, and it's what they've been working towards for years. So it's like, you know, despite the way that things have been kind of rickety in episodes past, I'm really hoping that this is the finale that brings everything together, and that there is cohesion and resolve. And you know, what was good about this episode in particular is that we had a lot of nostalgic elements throughout. There's a lot of quotes that I hope you guys picked up on as I did, because, you know, I was keeping my ears peeled for that business. Like the quote about Dexter talking about how the people in his life have let light into his darkness, and how he was blind, and now he's sort of, you know, adjusting to the light. At least I think I'm remembering that correctly. But that was some season 1 territory, when, you know, Dexter's got Saxon strapped down on the chair, you know, and and that whole conversation that they have, you know, he's talking about how he wanted to make Miami his home, like he loves the Cuban food and the atmosphere, blah, blah, blah. So like that was straight from the season 1 pilot, in case you missed that business. I didn't know whether I should be like totally tickled or pissed off that it was coming from the mouth of someone who wasn't Dexter, and yet at the same time Saxon has just had his grubby little fingers all in Dexter's past, and he's really creepily, uncannily connected to him, you know. A lot of people are on different pages about Saxon, and as for me, I've kind of been split in my perception of him. Like, when he first kind of came onto the scene, I was like, is this really our guy? You know, is this the big bad? Is this the guy who's, you know, been ever in the shadows and one step ahead this whole time? You know, kind of the poor man's Ryan Gosling is who he makes me think of. And I know a lot of people have drawn that similarity as well. And that just cracks me up, because he's got this sort of like, I don't know. At first I wasn't all that impressed with him. I was hoping for, I'm not really sure what I was hoping for, but initially I was kind of off-put, and I think it was sort of strange as well, the fact that the writers kept us at bay from the discovery of who the true brain surgeon was, because even at some points in the season, you know, the whole brain surgeon issue kind of fell into the backdrop as Hannah McKay returned. And so I think that the loss of momentum at that point in the game kind of made it a little bit difficult to pick back up for me, and so I was still, you know, trying to kind of make myself be impressed, I guess. But the more that we've kind of gotten into his character, like, I can jive with it, and I think that he presents an interesting kind of adversary for Dexter as well. And what was also interesting about the episode was really looking at just the full spectrum of emotions that are now open to Dexter. Our once very neat monster is suddenly tampering in the human world, and so many of us never wished that he would join us here, in a sense, because it sucks to feel things and consequences and crap like that. I mean, it's really not all that fun. And so I think a lot of us envied Dexter, and yet we sympathized with him so much and he didn't even realize the emotions that and the connections that he did experience back in the day. And so it was kind of, you know, he alienated himself even from the people who cared about him and who he wanted to care for, you know. And so I think that that's, you know, it's been a lot of what's kind of fed our attraction to Dexter throughout these years. And so we got to see a lot of complex sides of him in this episode, seeing him interact with everybody from Miami Metro, you know, everybody from Batista and Quinn, you know. There's all this kind of sense of resolve, and there's sort of this celebration of Dexter there, like at the party, and we're all just kind of like, oh, you are just you're the cuteness of all. But just Dexter in social situations always continues to, that amuses me a great deal. And then we saw a lot of nice, rich Dexter and Deborah scenes, and the way that their relationship has progressed and changed and seesawed and, you know, rocketed around the world. And finally, we're in a place where they're, you know, with Dexter, he's really still distracted in many ways by his goal of getting to Argentina with Hannah, and he's putting a lot forward to do that. And he's really idealized the experience a lot. You know, he's putting a lot of hope in his ability to start fresh, and that's what he keeps telling Deborah is like, hey, you know, we can let bygones be bygones, and you can have your life as a cop, and I'm gonna kind of do my thing. And, you know, it's like, who needs to kill when you've got a lady with looks that kill? I mean, it's like, oh, I mean, that's kind of the basic argument that he seems to make at times, and yet I think that for him, you know, it's all the exploration of self, and now that he's finding himself as a human, he's, you know, just trying to figure out what's gonna work, what's going to make him happy and fulfilled. And now that the dark passenger is gone and all that jazz, but we get to see Dexter and Deborah bond a lot and just really respond to one another. And I think that while Dexter is, you know, distracted out the wazoo. He is just flying around every corner, and yet Deborah is persistent as ever. It's good to see her really back in the game and pursuing him and being like, hey, dude, I'm kind of still totally here, and I kind of still completely love you to death, and let's spend time together. Can we do that? You know, like, I love how she, like, locked him in the house and she was like, hey, we're doing steaks and beer, by the way. I very much appreciated that scene, and just the desperation and the loyalty that Deborah has exuded so strongly throughout the years. It is ever present and very rich in those scenes, and I could have watched a full hour of just the two of them hashing everything out, because there's so much that the writers have given us throughout the years in that relationship, and it's like I can't believe that there's only one chapter left in which to explore every corner of things between them and just the bond that they've shared. And yeah, I mean, things are definitely going to take a major turn as Dexter inevitably discovers what's happened to Deborah at the end of the episode. Hello. I relived a little bit of not so fun deja vu from season 4 with the Lundy and the Christine and the shooting scene. That whole deal with Deborah that happened this week, that was rather unfair and hurtful to me. At any rate, yeah, and I love the scene where they both, you know, they took out Saxon together. And that was another scene that also reminded me of season 1, like when Dexter put the dummy Deborah in his bed, like after he rescued her and he knew that Rudy was going to come back and try and finish the job that he had so lovingly tried to pass off to his, you know, his less than enthusiastic brother. But yeah, so it kind of made me think of that, because we know that something is coming, and this, just the way that Dexter leaped up with the needle and Deborah came down with the gun, and it was just like a little Saxon sandwich, you know? So that was a satisfying moment. But yeah, and then the scene where, you know, they're at the hospital, also really beautiful cinematography when Dexter was exploring the building and finding Saxon's zone with the chair, all that business, the lighting and the bright blues. It kind of reminded me of something from season 7 as well, earlier on, kind of with the holes. Is that around spelled, sir? I don't know. That was some good business. But, yeah, so, in the scene where Dexter's kind of rip-roaring out of there, he's like, hey, Deb, you take the wheel. I'm gonna kick it in the Argentinas. And then, you know, she rip-roars around the corner, and finally, it's been seasons in the making, they share an embrace. And again, I mean, Dexter is wildly distracted and his brain is anywhere but wholly in the moment. So it's like, I'll forgive you this, Dexter, but you have the best freaking sister in the known universe, and theirs is the connection that has kept this show so wildly significant for me. And so I just desire so much from those scenes, but I'm glad that we got quite a few of those in the mad fray of things. What else to discuss? I'm just kind of, you know, zipping all around here, kind of like my vlogs have sort of turned into this like pinball game of ridiculousness where I just sort of like, you know, I hit this thing and that, and the ball is just sort of flying across the board. But yeah, so, and I would love to hear your predictions for the finale in the comments, but please refrain from posting any spoilers. If you have seen any leaked material or heard about it, I don't want to hear about it. Nobody else does. Well, I mean, I guess you might, but I highly encourage you guys to just wait and watch the story as it unfolds. And then watch it again if you need to, you know? That, personally, to me, is the best way to go. I mean, it's like, sure, for some people who've been frustrated with the season, they want to just know what's going on so they can make up their emotional decisions in advance, and if it's going to be disappointing, they can sort of withdraw. But at the same time, it's like, come on, you know, put yourself in the moment. And if you accidentally saw spoilers too, I sincerely apologize for you, because I've almost crossed over a few landmines myself. So accidents happen, that much is true, but I just want you guys to know there are those of us who want to experience this fresh and clean, and I mean, it's like, with people like me, I guess you might want to hear me, you know, and my reactions as I experience things, because I'm kind of ridiculous about it, and that's just how I roll. So this was it was a very full episode. Things move fast. Of course, we had Miguel Prado's wife back on the scene as the real estate agent for Dexter's apartment. So that was just kind of a little Easter egg, a little taste of things past from season 3. I'd really hoped that she would bring up Rita. I mean, it's like, it makes sense in terms of, like, you know, social etiquette that she might not do so, not wanting to bring up painful memories, but, you know, it's kind of cool to see some of the old faces back on the block, you know, albeit she was a very small element and kind of, you know, got overshadowed by the fact that there's, you know, we're kind of in the end game zone here, so it was a little bit difficult to make that kind of space for a returning minor character, but that was cool. We got to see, you know, some cute scenes with Harrison. I'm glad that the rather intriguing scene of Harrison's accident on the treadmill last time, you know, nothing of that caliber. That was a slightly weird scene to me. I'm still just like, it didn't feel like a scene in a Dexter episode. I don't know, and just a small thing. But so we see Elway's kind of, you know, shaking his well, not shaking his tail feathers, I guess he's like plumping up his chest feathers, strutting himself around, you know, trying to nose around in Deb's place and figure out what's going on with Hannah McKay. And it just sucks that they're, you know, they had this cool little friendship that kind of subsided into, well, the uglier sides of business, and it appears that he's going to get pretty intimately acquainted with the madness that is present with the Morgans next episode. And I'm fascinated and horrified to see how everyone from Miami Metro is going to get involved. You know, we have, furthermore, let me just say, it was fantastic to see Deborah back in Miami Metro. I mean, if only by the second to last episode, it was just really gratifying and wonderful to see her there, and very nostalgic in its own way too. And I think they're trying to give us those nostalgic moments as we move towards the end, just to say, hey, you've loved it all along, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna rock through to the finish. And that's just kind of the spirit that I'm taking on right now. So, other thoughts, you know, it's crazy to see who Dexter has become, and a lot of the time I was just like, come on, Dex, like, enough about the whole Hannah thing. Like, is that really what it all comes down to for you, like, as you're looking back at your life of killing and reflecting, etc., etc.? Is it really just the love of a beautiful woman that you needed all along? I mean, you could argue that his connection with Hannah McKay is something that stems from the mommy issues of past, and, you know, you could kind of break it down psychologically like that, but I was sort of like, come on, Dex, you know, I guess we all like the monster to some extent, let's be real, we kind of were into that. And so it's strange to see Dexter in a place where he's like, I don't need this. I mean, we saw him release the Dark Passenger, so that was one thing. But I think he had some really interesting discussions with Harry as well, who's kind of rooting for the old Dexter to return. And yet we see that side of Dexter that wants to be 100% free from who he's been. And there have been times in seasons past where he's wanted that, you know. We can think of any number of examples, but it's like I kind of stopped and made myself think about it when I was like, seriously, you're throwing in the towel just because of your lovely blonde lady love. But I think that it goes deeper just to the fact that it's always been present, this desire that Dexter has had to be normal, you know? And so I think that that's something that makes sense, and that's kind of what the writers were trying to bring out in this episode. It came across strangely at times, and yet I think that you know, is part of the end game that the writers have been hinting at, is the fact that they are going to see Dexter trying to free himself. But good lord, are we in for a full load this next weekend? So I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna come back probably with another midweek vlog with finale predictions and just a full season 8 reflection and kind of looking in retrospect at everything before we hit the end. And I'll probably be doing something special for my finale review as well. And there will be more Dexter stuff to come too. So hit me up on Tumblr and Twitter and my Facebook page. I'll have the links below, all that fun jazz, and be as beautiful as you are. So leave all of your Dexter thoughts and shenanigans and memories and things. I mean, just get it rolling. You can talk with me, and one of these days I'm just gonna like lock myself in my room and just respond to as many YouTube comments as I can, because I miss the days where I had time to do that, because that is just one of the things that makes me feel alive. So I love the nostalgic elements of this episode, and you know, the attention that we see given to Dexter and Deborah, the relationship that they have shared, and as everything is kind of going into this whirlwind of a close, I have a good feeling. A good feeling and a bad feeling, and a feeling that I'm gonna be totally devastated in ways, but as long as it's the good kind of devastating, and that's what I'm clinging to. So you guys take care, and I will, in fact, be back before you know it.